the word done only has 4 letters and only one definition: complete. But in our society, as humans, not Zimbabwe, done is, it's done. But I just need to my gardener is the most wonderful guy. I have so much respect for him. When I first interviewed him, he's young, got a little, young family. And when I interviewed him, he said these words to me: "Boss, I could be a very good gardener, but it's not what I want to do with my life. But please, if I come work for you, please tell me that you'll help me stop being a gardener." And then with immediate effect, you're like, done. Come, I don't care if you don't know anything about gardening. I really want you on my team. Hiring weak people to keep you strong is a fool's game that we see play out all too often. Makes sense? I'm sure you've seen it all the way from growing up to school. There's teachers who had too much authority but not enough ability. We all had them, right?
Yeah.
And the moment some cocky teenager went, "No, sir, I'm not going to do that," they cried or ran away or resigned or beat you, whatever they did. We've got to be the better version of that. Does that answer your question? It's a long journey, but it's a very important
All right.
subject heading.
So you pointed out something about leadership, and there's this interesting meme where a captain of a ship, I think, lost their compass.
Yeah.
And the question was, how do I tell all my subordinates that I'm lost?
100%.
So, Mr. Knight, what's your take on leadership?
Well, to be quite frank, I respect your point of view, the GWC, and you gotta get it. And first, you gotta know what it is you're doing. Then, you've gotta feel the edge of wanting what it is that you're doing. And then, obviously, most of us, particularly in Zimbabwe, most people get it and they want it, but they do not have the capacity to do it. So actually, I really learned something from it, and I really respect your point of view. It was actually very helpful to me, and I appreciate that.
After that.
All right. So you were talking about the team being competent, incompetent, and whatsoever. So there's a lot of inefficiencies, and there can be a bottleneck effect where maybe the leadership is very competent, the people who are doing the tasks are very incompetent. So what are your key strategies in dealing with this bottleneck effect or dealing with these inefficiencies?
Okay, so first of all, what you just described was not a competent leader.
Okay.
Is that if you have a very competent leader and everyone else around him is incompetent, he's an incompetent leader.
Incompetent hiring.
Incompetent hiring, incompetent training. Maybe the process is too complicated that a bunch of smart people can't make it work. Makes sense? Do you know anyone stupid? Truly.
We know, but we can say our names.
No. I don't believe I've ever met a stupid person.
All right.
I don't believe that. I believe I've met unmotivated people. I believe I've met people with a lack of exposure to what I am talking about. I believe that I have met people who have had their will broken. I believe I've met people who don't know that they have value. But I can tell you for a fact, I don't believe in my short life I have met a stupid person. Right? I don't believe that people can't learn. But I believe, number one, remember, have the empathy to understand their point of origin. And then don't give someone a job they're not capable of doing. Very, very critically, right? So we have multiple accounting functions. These people are not cheap, and nor should they be cheap. They look after your money, they look after your sustainability. Right. So if I make the decision, and we see this over and over and over and over again in Zimbabwe, in that I have the potential to make $100,000 from this deal, right? Whatever I'm doing. I'm going to build a sandcastle. Okay? I'm going to make $100,000 from this deal. It's going to take 10 days of work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to employ 60 $100 people. And they're going to work 3 days. Right? Why do I do that? Because my failure as a leader to educate myself and understand what went before me, on what good projects were and what bad projects were. And it's very easy in this day and age. We have no excuses. Going back to 1930, there were no excuses. But now we can just ask AI how to do this. If you go into a project and are short-sighted and try to go to the lowest common denominator because you think it's a saving, you're a fool. But more importantly, all those general laborers that are coming to build your sandcastle, do you ever look at a CV for a general laborer? No, you don't. Why? They're there to lift. They're there to move something. That is not a skilled laborer. But building a sandcastle in Zimbabwe, built any sandcastles that are worth $100,000? Built any sandcastles? Do you have any idea where to start in building a sandcastle worth $100,000? So even if I know as the leader, if I know this, but I'm trying to profit rather than produce quality, I'm going to destroy all these people's mindsets because they're going to fail. And they'll stay general laborers because they won't know that they succeeded in anything. More fool you. Because they will leave and go to their next $60 job. You will now have to deal with a $100,000 failure. Yeah. So very important that we understand that if there is a bottleneck, it is first and foremost the responsibility of the leader to acknowledge that they've stuffed something up, step away from the playing field, relook at it, and then go back. Number 2, the man on the ground knows more than you. We talked about planning. So plan all you like. Have you heard of paralysis by analysis?
Paralysis analysis. Yeah.
I have. So you can spend so much time in planning. You have the perfect plan in the world, but when you execute it, it fails. Mike Tyson said that the best people plan until I punch them in the face. Right? I think it was Dwight Eisenhower said that no good plan survives contact with the enemy. So you can plan all you like, but you also have to accept that in your planning stage, before you execute it, you might have miscalculated. There might be environmental changes. There might be things that you couldn't understand. You might have employed a whole bunch of men where you needed women, but you couldn't see that until the rubbers hit the road and you have to change the wheel while you're driving. Yeah. Understanding that the person on the ground knows more means that you can't sit in your glass tower and criticize the person for the bottleneck. You've got to go down and figure it out. Somewhere between your executive function, the actual lessons learned, and this person's perspective, you'll solve your bottleneck. But in your initial statement, if there's a bottleneck, how do you solve it? It's your fault first. Figure out what you missed. Go down layer by layer until you've got everyone's perspective. The guy on the ground might be wrong, but to not ask him, to not listen, would be a foolish miscalculation.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Anyway, you mentioned about quality.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of inconsistency in quality in the local businesses. So how do you, and I've actually seen this place, is actually there's some consistency in quality where you're not going to see a room which is slightly off, a room which is slightly, it's really up to the standard. So how do you maintain the consistency in quality?
Okay. So quality and consistency, they hold hands, but not the same thing. Mm-hmm. Quality comes from caring. Just care about it. Mm-hmm. I often, have you heard of the chartered vendor?
Chartered vendor.
Have you heard of the chartered vendor? Jerry, you must look up the chartered vendor. He's a good friend of mine. We talk a lot about this. I was at his office the other day talking about this. Is that we need to learn to care about the little things. Okay, we need to care about maintenance and understand why maintenance is so vital. Mm-hmm. Maintenance of our. I was going to say body, but I'm realizing that I'm overweight and probably don't look. I'm not the picture of excellence on maintenance. But we need to care about something. That comes first. I think the problem in Zimbabwean businesses is that we're somewhere stuck between hustle in business,
Also in business.
right? You don't care about a hustle, you care about the outcome. A business is something you're building. It's a person. It's like a baby. Would you ever leave a 1-year-old baby by themselves to play? Would you ask that 1-year-old baby to cook their own meal?
No.
You won't let them do anything except cook combo. You know? And the problem is we launch a business in Zimbabwe because it's graduated from hustle to business. And then I've read a book to say that I should not work in my business. Robert Kiyosaki, the cash flow quadrant. I should become the investor. Yeah. Slowly. You can't just go startup to investor and I'm out. I'll see you next Wednesday with my money. And it happens too often. We also, in Zimbabwean business, we diversify far too fast because we still have the hustle mentality. ABC Auctions has been around a long time. And what I love about this company and I love about the family that started it is that they are still in the business daily. They never have moved away. While everyone else was diversifying and failing, click. They knew what their business was. They understood their product. And they were consistent. And only through consistency can you have quality. But to have quality in the first instance, you have to accept what quality you're looking for. And you have to be dogged and annoying to achieve it. There is no other way to do it.
All right. I'll spin it over to you, Mr. Kandari. What's your take, or what are your key takeaways about consistency and quality?
Well, to begin with, let me give an example. I'll shift to the music industry, right? So we have so many artists, and usually I'll particularly mention my Zim dance artists, right? You know, when they start, right, they are wild, right? Singing all this stuff, you know, they are the hood, they are like, they give the hood vibe to the people, right? But then with time, as they get fame, as they get known, they commercialize their music, right? If I can take an example for Killer T, right? Back then, he used to sing, he was very loud, very harsh. When he used to do the pause, you know, then there came a time where he had to convert from that hood singer into a commercial singer who to fit, like, to have listeners in all categories, right? Like back then, the listeners, they were just people from the hood, and that was his target market. Now he shifted. Now everyone can listen to Killer T, everyone from all social classes, because he made this shift in his music. Now so it all now comes back to consistency. Like, he was consistent in what he was doing up until he reached the point where he had to now make that shift and, you know, make good music that everyone listens to. So that's the kind of consistency we are talking of. Yeah.
So you're saying he lost consistency or he lost quality?
No, I'm saying he had the consistency, right? With the consistency now, with his music, like the music he was doing in the hood, right? Then he kept on doing that up until he got to a point where he was like, nah, I should leave this behind. And then do something that's greater, like diversify into all the listeners, like not get only stuck up on the wood listeners, but then get everyone all across to listen to my music. Yeah, something like that.
Which brings us to the one of the things that I like about this podcast. Would like to empower people with the actionable steps that they can take away after listening to this podcast. So what are the actionable steps to actually improving productivity and efficiency in business?
Actionable steps to improve
Actionable
productivity and efficiency.
Yeah.
Why productivity and efficiency? I'll answer your question, but why are those things the takeaway you're looking to have?
All right. So in this economy, we are stuck between producing quality and surviving. So most of the times we're trying to survive.
Yeah.
So you might find out that this cup could be sold 7 times.
Yeah.
7 times, and it's still the same cup. So we are creating an economic situation where we have scarcity, and with scarcity, a lot of prices will go up.
Yeah.
And if prices go up, there's inflation. There's so if there is scarcity, that's the key driver of inflation.
Yeah.
So there isn't much of productivity in this country. So that's why we really want our viewers to know how to stay productive.
Yes.
To know how to. You have talked about the P's, where you have the product. So if you're not making the product, but basing on maybe a product that's already there, that you're selling 7 times, can it be?
Well, ABC's product is not something we create. I don't. You bring me this bowl, I put it on an auction to these dudes, and someone buys it, and I go, "There's your money," and I take my piece. I don't have a product. My product is a service. But I hear what you're saying. So, how would I improve productivity and efficiency? Well, first and foremost, I would, and it's very important. Your listeners might come from whole different backgrounds. So, how I would describe getting from point A to point B to different people would be different. You know, when you go into Google Maps, have you ever pressed the walk button?
Yeah.
Or the train button? Don't press it, isn't it? Don't. Where people are in their lives is going to be different for what I'm about to say. So I think what I'd like to do with your permission is reframe it slightly. Is that productivity and efficiency come from being intentionally care about something. There's some amazing productivity and efficiency happening in Zimbabwe. Black, white, Indian, men, women. There's a variety of businesses from sectors that aren't in the news that are of outstanding quality and efficiency. I think what people really need to get to is to, one, forgive yourself for the position you're in, right? We have mass poverty. So it's very easy for us to sit in this nice hotel room, wearing our nice suits, probably going to a nice life after this, and then tell someone who's watching this on YouTube, who's wants to be inspired by you, who's sitting in Mamvuku and has no plan for the day and no cash to make a plan. Very easy for me to tell him he should be better at business and read a book. Let's understand where we are. Let's be pragmatic about what's in front of you. Let's be pragmatic about looking around us for what problems there are. Have you ever made a list of the problems you can see?
Yeah.
Really? Like all the problems you can see? How much time did you give it? No, genuinely. If you sit and just have a look at exactly where you are, and then look around at a group of people for 1 hour, and then just try and internalize what problems do you see. Write the problems down. The very first part about becoming productive is understanding that anything you do that's going to create value must be a solution. Make sense? From Instagram is a solution. OnlyFans is a solution. Killer T's music is a solution, right? They all fit their place, found their place by finding a solution to a known problem. So whether you are in Epworth or whether you are just about to jump on an Emirates flight at 4 o'clock today to go to Dubai, this is where the great equalizer is. There's problems that we can solve. Then ask yourself, which problem would I pay for a solution to? Because there's no point looking at another market until you've understood what you are in the market, right? So what problem can I see? What solution would I pay for? And go and develop that. Develop that in your thought first. Develop what the product is. And you don't have to go to the stupid degree and create a bounded book and use AI and spend 6 months doing it. No. Commit 1 hour. This is my product. How do I get to do it? This is my process. I heard the story. I never got to see it, and I wish I'd gone. I was told there was a guy in Chitungwiza who was grabbing all the Zimbabwean made castle light bottles, because you had the South African ones and there's Zimbabwe. I'm not a beer drinker, so I don't know this too much. And he's taking all these bottles, and he knew that crushed glass was being exported to a reproducer in South Africa. And in my head, I was like, I'm going to get a pneumatic press, 1-ton pneumatic press. We're going to crush it. Then it's going to pivot and chuck stuff into bags, and everyone will wear gloves. And this dude was like, nah. I get high school kids at the end of school to chuck bottles against a wall, right? So there's multiple ways to the process to solve that problem. So spend a minute, write down those things. A problem written down is a problem half solved. And I think anyone, anyway, if you want to be more productive and efficient, take time every day to ask yourself, what problems can I see? And what would I pay for to get solved? And just develop that thought process for a minute. And I think if everyone made a practice of that. Remember the guys who started filling in potholes? Do you remember when they first started? Those dudes were bringing like half bricks and stones from everywhere, and they were actually fixing the roads and getting tips through the window. Now the guy's like, the problem is not the road. The problem is I need money, so I'm going to dig up this hole, and then I'm going to stand here while I refill the hole because it's getting money, right? That's where Zimbabwe flips the lid, is that we need to come back to actually solving a problem. We spoke before we started, and I said, what's this podcast about? What's it for? Having absolute clarity. When we open ABC Auctions doors every morning, of course, we open our business. We also open a business for about 300 or 400 people who exist through buying from us, selling from us, borrowing from us. My problem that I'm solving is not my shareholders' wealth. That's my objective. The problem I am solving is for the somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 people that sell with us at ABC every year. I have to focus on them. Jeff Bezos talks about having, at every board meeting, he keeps an empty chair, and that's for the customer. So we can always remember the people that we're trying to serve. So figure out what the problem is. Figure out what solution you can provide to it. Ask yourself, would I pay for that solution? If the answer is yes, how would I deliver it? Cool. Who do I need to do this? And what will happen if I succeed? Not if I fail. Fail, we'll go back to the beginning, we'll start another one. But what will happen if I succeed? And I think that's the greatest advice I'd give to everyone. That has an equilibrium dependent regardless of where your life is.
So we know you're an expert in team building and process building. So where can our viewers reach out to you, or what mentorship services do you offer, if any?
So I took on mentors a few years ago, and I stopped. And I'll tell you why I stopped. I stopped because I would be very picky on who I chose to mentor, and there were normally people who had already started something. And then we would go through 3 to 5 months of mentoring, give them the time, and at the end of that, the question was, well, can I get a job? Right, and I get it. There's a whole bunch of empathy there, right? What I would encourage people to do is we live in a world where information is so readily available to us. This is the biggest point of information freedom that we've ever known as a planet, right? We live in a very small world. You want to go look at what the Eiffel Tower looks like on the 3rd floor? You can go see it just on a screen, right? You wanna go back to 9/11 and walk around the dusty street. You can do it on Street View. You know, you want to learn about the Mayans and why the Mayans disappeared. You can go now.